Okay, so in my previous video, we graphed points on a coordinate plane and then we found the perimeter. We're going to do another example of that. So I am going to graph E1, 7, F3, 7, G3, 4, H1, 4. Now I'm going to connect all of those. Then we can find the perimeter. So just like we've been doing before, we count the units. This is 1 unit, 2 units, so this would be 2. 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units. 1 unit, 2 units, and this side is 3 units. In order to find the perimeter, remember you add up all the sides. So 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. The perimeter of this shape would be 10 units. Also, remember when you're doing perimeter, it's not units squared. Units squared is only when you are doing area. If you want another example of this, that would be found on page 706 in your textbook. They have an example for you right here, but it's already done for you, and so I wanted to do one that was not done for you, so that's why I did this other one. But this one is already done for you, page 706, if you want to reference that one. Next, so you don't always have the luxury of having a coordinate with you. So next I'm going to teach you a shortcut for finding the perimeter when given coordinates. So I've given you these coordinates. If you would like, I would suggest pausing me right now so you can copy these down, and you may want to copy these notes into your INB because your homework has part of this on there. So I'm given G, F, H, and J. 4 coordinates again, like we've done before, but instead of plotting them, now I'm going to do what I'm going to call a shortcut. So the first thing you need to look for is where your x coordinates, where they are alike. So this is what I mean by this. This x coordinate's a 1, this one's a 3, this one's a 3, this one's a 1. Well, my like coordinates would be F and H. F has 3, 7. H has 3, 4. So those are like coordinates. The x coordinates are like. So I can subtract the y coordinates to find the length of that side. Now, I also have 2 other coordinates that have like x coordinates, which are G and J. So G has 1, 7. J has 1, 4. Now the x coordinates are the same, so I can now subtract my y coordinates. So x coordinates are alike. You subtract the y coordinates. Okay. Now likewise, we need to find the like y coordinates. So do y coordinates, and we're looking for common ones. So I'm going to come back up here. Remember, my y is always listed second. It's x, then y. So I'm looking for my y coordinates that are the same. 7 and 7, those are the same. If I keep looking, 4 and 4, those y coordinates are the same. So now I'm going to find, here's G, 1, 7, F, 3, 7. Now my y coordinates are the same, so I'm going to subtract my x coordinates. So 3 minus 1 equals 2. Next, if you take a look at this, my y coordinates are the same on h and j. So h is 3, 4. j is 1, 4. I'm going to subtract my x-coordinates. 3 minus 1 equals 2. Now, in order to find the perimeter, remember I add up all the sides, and I found the sides. These are my sides over here. So I'm going to take 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. And that's 5, that's 5. 10 units would be the label on that. So 10 units is how long that one is. Next, your textbook continues on. And what they want you to do next is they say, we've given you these shapes. We would like you to find the area of those shapes. So you can do that one of two ways. If you take a look at this one, you could technically just count the squares on that, okay? So you could count all the squares and that would be the area. Now remember, area is units squared. So your label on all of these needs to be units squared. Now on this one, we know what the area formula is of a parallelogram. What's the area formula of a parallelogram? Area equals base times height. Okay, so let's count our base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my base is going to be 5. I'm going to replace the b with a 5. Next, I have to look for the height. So I'm looking from all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top, and I'm going to count those squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the area of this one would be 25 units squared. Okay. Likewise on this one, you can just count the boxes. This one is a triangle. Do you know the area of a triangle? That should be half base times height. So, half base times height. Find your base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, times your height, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then half of that, I would do half of that. That's 3 times 4 equals 12 units squared. At this point in time in the video, if you would like to be done and you would like to go start on your homework, that is fine. I'm going to go over a couple more examples on this video. I'm going to go over how to find the perimeter just giving the coordinates, and I'm also going to go over finding the coordinates when it tells you that the units are more than one. So for instance, some of your homework will give you coordinates and then it will tell you each unit is worth 4 or each unit is worth 2. So essentially you would need to then multiply what you got by that number. But I am going to go over some more examples. But if you feel as though you are ready for this, you can go ahead and get started on your homework. Now, before moving on, you must check in and make sure that you did right on your homework, okay? So I'm going to go over a couple more examples, and then I am going to have an additional video on some more that we can go over, okay? So here is the next one I am going to go over. So I am going to start with the given points. If you would like to pause it right now and write down these points so you could try this on your own, that would be just fine. So I am given W, X, Y, and Z. And I want to find the perimeter of this shape given these points. So the first thing I'm going to look for is my like X coordinates. So when I look at my X coordinates, I have 2, 2, 6, and 6. So I see that these two have like coordinates and these two have like X coordinates. So I am going to subtract their Y coordinates. Remember talking about that before? We subtract their Y. Subtract the Y when you have a common X coordinate. So my y coordinates for wx were 7, 0, and my x coordinates for yz were 7 minus 0. And now, you may be asking, well, Mrs. Warren, do you have to go in the order that you wrote it? Like I wrote YZ. You don't have to go in order because that would be 0 minus 7, and we're not quite ready for that, okay? So you just have to subtract so that you can get a number that makes sense to you. So you do not need to subtract to get a negative number at all. Now that we've found where the x coordinates were alike, now we look for where the y coordinates are alike. And then I see that this 7 and this 7 match up, and this 0 and this 0 match up. So I am going to subtract the x and the y. I'm going to subtract those those x coordinates. So my x coordinates on that were 6 minus 2, which is 4. Additionally, these have like y coordinates, and I'm going to subtract 6 minus 2 to find that side. Now, I've found all 4 sides, and I'm going to add them up. 7 plus 7 plus 4 plus 4. The perimeter of my shape is 22. The next one is a word problem. So, if you would like, you can pause it so you can read this and then start it back up. I'm going to read it to you, and then afterwards, if you want to pause so you can write some stuff down, that would be a great option. Mark is building a raised garden bed. He's looking at a map that he made of the coordinates. And the coordinates that he has down on his map are 2, 1, 2, 6, 7, 1, and 7, 6. Each grid square has a length of 4 feet. This is the part that's different than what we've done before, okay? Find the amount of wood he needs to buy in order to build the raised garden bed. So what I did next is I wrote down all of these coordinates, and then I named them. And the reason I named them is because it was easier for me to look at them. You don't have to name them. It was just something that I like to do, okay? So now we're going to start with the same thing we've been doing. We looked for common x coordinates, and we're going to subtract their y's. And then we're going to look for common y coordinates and subtract their x's. So I see a common x coordinate. I see a common x coordinate. So my x's, I am now subtracting 6 minus 1 and 6 minus 1. My y's that are common are 6 and 6, so I need to subtract their y's. So I'm doing this one, and I'm subtracting their y, or their x's. Sorry, excuse me about that. So 7 minus 2. Additionally, these have common y coordinates, see, 1 and 1. So I'm going to subtract their x coordinates, 7 minus 2. So I have 5 and 5 for those. Now we add them all up, and I got 20. However, do you remember in the story we just read that each one was worth 4 feet? So I have to adjust that. So if each one, right now, I have it being a distance of 20. I need 20 around. But if this one is 4, I'm going to need to take by 20 times 4 to tell them that I'm going to need 80 feet of wood to build the raised garden bed. Okay. This concludes the video. I will have another video if you want additional practice. Good luck!